Hey, good evening. The Bob's Blues in the News, coming to you directly from Atlanta, Georgia. A little song I'm working on called To Build Paradise. I think that's the idea, huh? One of your purposes in life, if it's not the number one purpose, is to build paradise here. Make it a better place, to bring the sacred into the profane, to make it a more holy, righteous spot where you are. That's the way I look at it anyway. We try to get righteous, try to do the right thing. We always don't do the right thing. Sometimes we mess up, you know, but we just have to, you know, get up and after falling down and carry on, keep calm and carry on. Yeah. That's the motto, especially in this crazy, mixed up world. So where are we going now? I mean, we're always talking about this bloody war, and it's pretty bloody. Thank God it hasn't been too bloody on our side. I'm not sure what the death toll is exactly for the American forces and for the Israeli forces, but there's been a lot of destruction in Iran, that's for sure. To listen to Trump, he's already won the war. It's all over with. But you talk to the Iranian side, maybe not, they'll disagree, but it's all a war of words and bluffing and who has the most leverage. And, I think Iran believes it has leverage with the Gulf, the oil problem, blocking the Strait of Hormuz and threatening to blow up the ships as they pass through. Well, yeah, it's a problem. I mean, oil prices have gone up. The last time I looked, it was like $95 a barrel, and hopefully it gets down further below 85 at least, because it will hurt the economy. It will hurt inflation, etc. Although, Trump's saying that we don't have to worry about it because we got so much oil here. It could be, but there's a ripple effect, when there's a problem with the trade of oil. Now, the Arabs are getting very annoyed with Iran, which is probably a good thing in the long term, because, for a long, long time, the Arabs were fighting against Israel. I mean, all the Arab countries, just about. And then Trump came into power and he started the Abraham Accords and they started to get more friendly, at least Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, those countries started to get more friendly with Israel. But yet when you get down to the nitty-gritty, they wouldn't really back Israel that much, because they had their people they had to please, and and the media they had to please, etc. But with Iran attacking these guys, I mean, it's like it's changing the Middle East for good, it seems like to me, because more and more of the Arab countries, at least those around Israel and ones being actually bombarded by Iran, are coming to the aid of Israel, at least verbally anyway. And look, they're getting their oil fields bummed, and they're getting some of their cities bummed. I'm not sure, to what extent, but I see pictures on YouTube, as you probably do, of what's going on Instagram and social media. So they are getting hit, and a lot of people are worried about maybe they will hit not only the oil fields, but whether they purify the water, desaltization of the water, those plants, because if they get bummed and the people don't have any water to drink, I mean, that would be a disaster. So that could happen, as well. So there's a lot of danger still in this war. I'm wondering how much China is involved with supplying the Iranians. They seem to have a lot of missiles still, even though they're not shooting as many as they used to. And they haven't shot off as much as they did on that 12-day war previously. Still, it's pretty annoying for everybody. And the Israelis are spending a lot of time in the bomb shelters, which is annoying. And plus, Israel is getting still bombed by Hezbollah in the north. So, there's a lot going on that needs to be fixed. Now, Trump says he's going to clear the Strait of Hormuz, and I think he'll do it. He's sending in the Rangers, from what I understand, and flying them in, and they probably want to take these 3 islands near the Strait of Hormuz, and that's where they have a lot of their facilities, oil facilities, as well as garrisons, IRGC garrisons, to protect those facilities. But I think the United States plans on taking it. Now, Trump he's talking to them about making peace, and yeah, they really want to make peace, want some kind of peace agreement. But then, if you go directly to the source, it says, no way we want to talk peace. We're here, we're going to beat you to a pulp. We're going to massacre you. And it's a lot of hot air on both sides. But Trump, I think Trump really knows what's going on, and he's just lying to them like he knows they lie to him. So he said, well, if they lie to me, I can lie back. So it's just, you have to take anything that you hear from any of these leaders with a grain of salt. I think Trump's trying to position himself better, bring a little more forces. I mean, there's a lot of territory to cover, even though they've hit hard. Their military, the IRGC military, they've taken out most of their leaders. I don't think there's many really professional leaders left. But as long as there's one Arab left in the battle, he's going to claim that, they won the war. That's just the way they operate. They don't live in reality as we see it. They live in some la-la land, and they're trying to bring in the 12th Iman, so bring in the end of the world where we all have to be Muslims. But these are Shia Muslims, and they are more radical than the Sunni, and the Sunni are getting fed up. In fact, if you talk to some Arabs, they would tell you that they have more in common with Judaism than they do with the Shia. So it's a big schism, big split between the two. So there's not a lot of love loss. But previously, geopolitically, the Arabs wanted to stick together, to give a good face to the world. But really, if you get down to brass tacks, like I say, they don't like each other. So a lot of Arabs now that the Arab countries that they're being attacked by Iran, they don't mind supporting the U.S. and Israel. They want to get rid of the regime in Iran. And I know the people do. Most of the people do. They've lost so many lives. They sacrifice so much. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, some say a couple more weeks, 2 or 3 more weeks. I know Passover is coming up next week. I'm driving down to Florida to see my son for Passover. And I know people in Israel would prefer it not being war during the time that they celebrate Passover. It's an 8-day feast. Well, 8-day, so I say 8-day holiday. And there's a lot of feasting, it's true. You use a Seder. You read the Megillah about how the Jews left Egypt and Moses split it, the Red Sea, et cetera, et cetera. And, there's a lot going on today that we could put in that context of people freeing an oppressive regime. I mean, the Iranian people are a little bit like the Jews back in the day, and they want their freedom. Will there be a Moses that will split some kind of sea? Maybe split the Strait of Hormuz. The Prince Pahlavi, maybe he's the Iranian Moses. I'm stretching it, I know. But Persia is a big player in the Bible. The Jews have a big connection with Persia because when they were in exile, it was Nebuchadnezzar who destroyed the first temple, the Babylonian king, and they were the power at that time. But Nebuchadnezzar, he was a little crazy, and he got defeated by the Persians. And finally, there was a good king in Persia called Cyrus the Great, and he allowed the Jews to go back to build the second temple. So that's why the Jews have always had an affinity with the Persians, and the Persians also have an affinity with the Israelis. Normally they like each other. I mean, when the last Shah was in power, there was a lot of trade, a lot of agreements, a lot of friendliness between the two countries. But of course, the mullahs took over and it became a hell on earth. So you see the connection there. And there are even some rabbis talking about, well, if you look at Ezekiel chapters 38, 39, they mention that Persia is mentioned as being a catalyst for the last battle before the end of times, before the redemption, and that, their allies would attack Israel, which they have done, but they would be defeated eventually. And looks like they are being defeated now. So are we living in the end of times? At the end of times? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Anyway, however you look at it, whether you believe it's the end of times or not, we all have to build paradise. And whatever you're doing, whatever you do for a job, whatever you do in your life, you hope you're doing it for a positive purpose and that you're making the world a better place. So we all should be building paradise, right? And with that, I'll let you go. This is Bob on Bob's Blues in the News. See you next time.
Well,